Welcome back to Epilogues, an unpacking of the Haftorah. This is Rabbi Yaakov Trump. We are going to be learning today the Haftorah of the second day of Rosh Hashana. This Haftorah is found in Yirmiyahu Perek Lamed Aleph, Pasuk Aleph to Yud Tes. A very powerful and beautiful Haftorah. What is the context of this prophecy of Yirmiyahu? So the classic version, like the Radak, will describe that this came after the prophecies of destruction. So it's a very hopeful Haftarah. It's a prophecy of resurrection. It's a prophecy of success in the future redemption. However, Binyamin now says that actually this was Yirmiyahu in his earlier years, talking to the people at the times of Yoshiyahu and the possibility of return. Remember, Yirmiyahu was a prophet to the last kings of Israel, and he was a young prophet at the times of Yoshiyahu Melech, when there was the possibility of there being a return of the northern tribes in the kingdom, and that's when he gave his prophecy as well. So whether it's looking into the deep future or whether it's looking into the possible window of the present in these early years, this is a very beautiful Haftarah of the possibility to return. Let's look at it in pieces. We'll look at first Aleph to Pasuk Ches, where in this description over here, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the nation of Israel, it's a very beautiful description of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to describes Israel in the early days. He remembers HaKadosh Baruch Hu how in the days where the nation Israel found favor in the eyes of Hashem in those early days, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "I'm going to build you again." And the Besulas Yisrael, the young lady of Israel, you're going to go out in the dancing circle of those again, like in your youth, and you're going to plant vineyards. You're going to build all your destruction. It's going to be a time of simcha. And he goes on to say, "Ronu liYaakov simcha v'tzali b'rosh hagoyim." Rejoice, hashmi'u halalu. You're going to sing about how Hashem has brought back the nation of Israel, the remainder of Israel. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to bring you from the northern lands, and I'm going to bring you back from all the different places, whether it be people who are strong or people who are weak. Everybody's going to come. They're going to come in weeping, and I'm going to return. Ephraim will be my firstborn again. What is this agricultural image here of this sort of the replanting the fields and the vineyards? Why is that so significant over here? Says the Malbim, right now the Shomronim are planting the vineyards and wasting their products. The prophecy, that means to say that if you remember, this is after the exile of the northern kingdom, and right now non-Jewish people, or perhaps people who try to convert to Judaism to save themselves, but they really are not fully observant, and their conversion is questionable because of their concern of the safety at the hands of the lions. These people are now wasting away the land in the north, and Hashem says, I'm going to allow you to be able to take possession of that again. Who's the target audience of this? The Radak says this is to the north. It's talking to the people in the north who have already been exiled as well. Rabbi Lau explains that actually he had to go there since what had happened is I would say that he could not really make these or say these concessions safely in Yehuda, meaning to say by emphasizing Ephraim as the firstborn, what he's trying to do is he's trying to rekindle the relationship and undo the centuries of discord. So he's calling Israel Yaakov as opposed to Yehuda. So what it essentially is he's taking away the conflicting terms, meaning to say, up till now, it's been north, south, different kingdoms. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to use this broader language, which will be more inclusive to be able to bring all the different sides together. And look at the next psukim test to Yud Gimel in this section. He says, Shimu Duvar Hashem Goyim Vagidu B'Yim Merchak. He's making a proclamation that everybody needs to hear from far and wide. And that what is that? V'imru Mizarei Yisrael Yekabtzenu. That the one who spread out Israel is going to bring back Israel. Shmora Korei Adroi, and he will be like a shepherd bringing back his sheep, because Hashem is going to redeem Yaakov. He's going to bring back all of the children of Yaakov. They're going to come back to their territories. Tismach besula b'machol b'achorim zukenim yachtov v'afti evlom nesason v'nichamtim v'simachtim miyugonam. It's going to be a time where everybody's going to come back to their circles of dancing, and young and old, men and women, will be all together in celebrating with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'rivisi nefesh hakwanim deshen b'ami es tovi yispo. Everybody will be satiated at this point in time. Very beautiful description of sort of all the Jews coming across the globe as well, coming back to each other. It's worthwhile noting that there's a beautiful story that's told about in a particular city called Kutsabu in Alaska, which is about 30 miles into the Arctic Circle. 33 miles into the Arctic Circle. There's 70% of the people live there are part of different Eskimo tribes. And the two Chabad Shlichim from Anchorage who came from 550 miles away to visit the city, and they came to the local school, and the children showed them different Eskimo dances from the Inuit tribe, and the shluchim danced Hasidic dances, and one of the shluchim, Rabbi Avram Berkowitz, said, asked them afterwards at this assembly. He says, "Have any of you ever met a Jew beforehand?" So one girl raised her hand, and she said, "Yes, I have." And I said, "Who is that?" So she said, "It's my mother. She was the fifth grade teacher. She's a Jew." Which obviously means to say that the mother had been Jewish, and she married a person who was a native to the country there, and they were so impressed by these shluchim, these rabbanim who would come to this place deep in the far reaches of the Arctic Circle, and they said to her, what is it that we can do to reconnect to our Jewishness, to our relationship with the Jewish nation? And so the Chabad Shliach said, you know what? He says, that the first place that the sun rises is in the world is on the coast of New Zealand. That's where it starts. We're starting from the international date line, moving into the main land bodies. But really, over here is the last place that the sun sets for Shabbos, which means to say that you should be the one to light candles, because you will be the last person to bring in Shabbos on Friday, Eri Shabbos. And he gave her that as mission. That became her connection. He says that the Jewish people are waiting for you, the Jewish girl, to light the candles, the last person to light the candles every day. And that's really what HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying was, I'm going to bring everybody back. There's going to be every person is going to have their place, their tafkid in this process. And that's what Yirmiyahu was saying over here. And finally, the most famous part of the Torah is the end, where it describes this kol baramon yishma nehi b'chi samarim. This is bitter weeping in the Ramah, in this high place. It's going to be heard. What is it? It's Rachel mevaka al bonei. It's Rachel crying for her children. Me'anali hinachem al bonei kinenu. She refuses to be comforted for children who are no longer. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu then turns to her and says, Mani kolech mi bechi ve'nayach min dava. Stop crying. Ki yesh sachar li'pulaseich. Hashem says that there's going to be reward for your actions. V'shavu me'eretz oyev. You cried for them, they are going to return. Ki yesh tikva lach yisech v'shavu manim ligvulam. They're going to return as well. It is Rachel Imenu who has the ability to be able to pray for her children, whether referring to the children of the north have been taken into exile, or referring to the future when all of Israel has been taken into exile. It's her actions challenged HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She herself was willing to give of herself, to sacrifice so deeply that she gave over her life, her love to her sister, so her sister should not be embarrassed. And as a function of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, she says, I went against my nature, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, can't you please go against the decree to save my children? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says he listens to her. But Hashem says, at least stop crying, because I've listened as well. Famously, Rav Chaim Shmulevitz was once at Kever Rachel, and he was crying and crying, and he cried in Yiddish, and he says, Mama Rachel vei nachamol. He says, I can't disagree with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this Haftarah, but in the end of the day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rachel Imenu, we need you to cry again, because there's been so much suffering. The Jews are under so much threat. There's so many problems in the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rachel, if you don't cry to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we won't stand a chance as well. And that's a beautiful song Yaakov Shreki composed based on this episode of Rav Chaim Shmulevitz on the 11th of Cheshvan on Rachel Imenu's Yortzeit. This episode of Mama Rachel Vei Nachamol, cry once again. And finally, the Haftarah concludes with the return of the 10 tribes, because that's what happens. Shamar Shamati Ephraim Isnonei Disarti V'Awased. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm going to bring back the suffering Ephraim, and I'm going to, after I sent him into exile, I've nichamti, I've changed my mind, I've decided to bring him back. Haveni yakirli Ephraim im yeled shashrim, is my dear child, my beautiful, beautiful boy. Kimidei dabri boy zachares karenu oil al kain hamu me'aloi rachem arachamenu num Hashem. I will bring him back. Which leads us to the question: is who is Ephraim, and why is this the Haftarah of Rosh Hashana? Says Rav Mendel Hirsch, Dr. Mendel Hirsch, the son of Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch, who has Rav Mendel Hirsch as a commentary on the Haftarahs, and he says the reason why this Haftarah is so central is because the northern kingdom, as represented by Ephraim, the name Ephraim refers to the northern kingdom of Israel, who at this point in time, at the times of Yirmiyahu, are already exiled, although there's a few remnants who have joined the southern kingdom. These are the first, essentially, Israelites, or as we call today, Jews, who have left the fold. These are the first people in the nation who went off after idolatry and after warning and after warning and after prophecy. They disregarded HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and everything that was said about them actually came to be, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent them into exile, the exile of the 10 tribes. It says Rav Mendel Hirsch that it's important to appreciate that really, essentially, that is every Jew. In every Jew, and this is the first time this happens, are people who drift too far, and they make mistakes, and they don't listen to the warnings, and they suffer the consequences. And what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is saying is, even though they deserved what they got, Rachel Imenu still cries to them. We still cry because they're still our brothers. They're still the children of Rachel Imenu. Remember that Ephraim, specifically in the north, was the child of Rachel Imenu. She's their children. We always pray to Rachel, but Rachel was not the mother of Yehuda. She was the mother of Ephraim. It's important to appreciate that perhaps on Rosh Hashana is the time when we realize, and he says, this is the thought of your union and peace, to quote, which at the beginning of every year makes the sons of Yehuda who have remained faithful and who are working on fortifying themselves to grow even stronger and firm in their faith, hope and pray for the time of their reunion with all their brethren from the house of Israel. And that's what's really happening on Rosh Hashana. That's what we're supposed to be doing, is reflecting the ideas and sentiments in this Haftorah that Rachel Imenu keeps teaching us. In the meantime, have a wonderful, meaningful day and a Shana Tova.